Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you into JJM Leadership Conversation. At JJM Leadership Conversation, we aim at empowering you with a message of hope. Our desire is to empower you to be the leader that you are born to be, wherever you are. Remember, leadership is not a position, but it is about solving those little problems wherever we are. So today in our broadcast, I'm going to be welcoming one of the greatest speaker, motivational speaker, Christian leadership coach, who is going to help us to unpack this subject of today as we build leaders of tomorrow. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome in our show, Melvin Pillay. Melvin, you are welcome.
Thank you, great to be here.
We are so appreciative that you have chosen us to be with us into JJM Leadership Conversation. I want you to just take us into your confidence, Melvin, and introduce yourself to our viewers at home by just telling us a little bit about yourself. We want to know you better, man, so just tell us about Melvin.
Perfect, thank you, Joe. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you, friends. People often ask me, Melvin, how are you doing? I say to them, I'm doing better than good.
Wow.
You know, the first thing I'd like to talk about is the attitude by which we face the day.
Okay.
Leaders must choose to face the day with the attitude of gratitude.
Wow.
Being grateful and filled with joy.
Wow.
This is a decision we get to make. So yeah, my name is Melvin Pillay. I was actually born in KwaZulu-Natal. I was born in Mkumazi. Way down in the south coast, we were born into poverty. My mom was a clothes washing lady and my father was a gardener, but then he hurt his back and then he was disabled.
Wow.
And we lived in a literal tin shack, Joe. Nailed together. There were 2 beds. Mom and dad slept in one bed and 6 children on the other. I joke with people.
I want you to...
You know, I'm going to tell the joke.
I want you to stop there before you go to your joke. You were much better. You were much better, Melvin. You had a bed. You had a bed. Of course, it was a bed of 6. But some of us who had to share, should we call it a hut, that house with chickens and also goats. You know, we had to share the space and space together. But anyway, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
So, this is what I say to people is simply this: we were so poor growing up, we used to go to KFC and lick other people's fingers.
Wow. Chicken licking.
No, here's the thing.
Wow.
Anybody can start with nothing.
Wow.
I work in the Western world with people that will never understand what this means. Then I work in third world countries where people understand what this means, but here's the difference. The circumstances are different, but the tears are the same.
Wow.
We all
can you just repeat that for our viewers at home? The circumstances are?
The circumstances are different.
Are different, all right?
But the tears are the same.
Wow.
We all cry, we all bleed, irrespective of where we come from. And that's something we must understand about the differences and how united we are. We are more united than we think.
Wow. I want you to, before we go to where you are today, Melvin, I want you to just talk more. You spoke about being born in KZN, which is, in South Africa, of course. And we are doing this broadcast while you are visiting our show. I want to just to check a little bit in terms of you are visiting us at this time where, number one, we're going through the pandemic. In the past 2 weeks, our country has been on fire. What comes to mind and why have you chosen to visit our show during this time, Melvin?
Sure. Actually, it was the Lord that laid on my heart to go.
Wow.
I was just sitting and then I had this inspiration in my heart. Go to South Africa, go to the people, go where there's a need right now for peace. A need to uplift the spirits of leaders and people are tired by all the chaos that's going on right now. So I could tell many things, but it was God that said go, and that's why I'm here.
You know, one of the things that I'm picking up from what you have just indicated, Melvin, is that leaders should not sit at the back, but leaders should go to the forefront and inspire hope, even when the situation does not necessarily permit. Of course, you're visiting us in a very, with a lot of difficulty. Yeah. So I like and appreciate the fact that as a leader, you did not sit in USA and say, I'm going to watch this thing from television, but you wanted to associate with your people. You wanted to be part of the happening in trying to bring the stability in the nation. Can you just confirm that and just, I think, amplify the point of leaders going to the people?
Sure. In leadership, you can't get a better leader than Jesus Christ. He was there with the people. He left everything to come to people, to touch them, to feel them. You cannot understand pain and fear unless you sit with the people and feel their pain and feel their heart. And as leaders, as we start from nothing and we start to achieve things, we must be careful that we don't get caught up with excuses and comfort. Sometimes we've got to leave. All the times we've got to leave comfort and we've got to stop making excuses. It will never be anything more but the people. Right. Always touch people.
Wow. Always touch people. That for us, it is inspiring indeed. I'm going to be moving into the next question, Melvin, because in actual fact, before I move to the next question, what I want you to do for me, this broadcast, I believe there are many people that are watching it. I believe that some of our leaders are also watching our broadcast. I want you to talk to that camera and talk to our leaders in inspiring them with hope. How can we ignite them so that even during this difficult time, they can continue to lead with hope? Can you just share with them a message of hope while we are still on that point?
Definitely. See, hope comes when we decide not to give up. Don't give up. We all face challenges. Through the darkness, stay positive. Through the madness, stay encouraged. When the darkness is over, we will see the end to this. Many of us, we just do not persevere. Persevere, leaders. Now is the time for leaders to step off the platform and come down and hug people. Figuratively speaking, I know, of course, in the pandemic,
yes,
but touch people's hearts.
Yes.
We are detached. People need hope. Leaders need hope. And so to leaders in South Africa, persevere. To leaders in South Africa, your people need you. To leaders in South Africa, you need to be refreshed. And here's a word of refreshment. God is with you.
Wow.
God is with you.
God is with you, leaders, wherever you are. You know that we are leading in a very, very difficult time, a health crisis, a health pandemic. So on that note, we want to encourage you to take hope and also believe in God.
COVID-19 is a new illness that can affect your lungs and airways. It's caused by coronavirus. This is a global pandemic which requires everyone to take responsibility in order to minimize the spread of coronavirus. It is now compulsory for all South Africans to wear a face mask in public even after the lockdown eases. If you cannot afford disposable face masks, you may have to make use of the cloth face mask. But what if you cannot sew one for yourself? Well, that's where Miss Price Fashion comes in. We can assist you with cheap and affordable reusable quality face masks. We produce 3 types of face masks: the pleated face mask, the nose curved shaped face mask, and the lace face mask. All these masks have 3 layers of fabric as proposed by the government. We have all sizes, including children's face masks. Our face masks start from as little as 25 Rand per mask. We also have special prices for bulk orders. To order your mask, please call the number on the screen. You can also place your order through our website, which is www.misspricefashion.co.za. You can also follow us on our social media pages. Thank you for your support and stay safe. God bless South Africa. Miss Price Fashion, your dress code, your signature.
Welcome back to JJM Leadership Conversation. If there is something that you are learning from today's broadcast, I want you to type on the comment box and indicate what are your highlights, what are your takeaways. It is important to give us that feedback so that we know how we can improve and also what are the best content that we can also bring into your direction. What is also important is that if you believe that this message of today will benefit someone, please tag someone or share this message with someone that you believe will also benefit. My guest for today is Melvin Pillay. He's sharing with us his leadership journey. It's just a simple conversation. Melvin, welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I want to just tap a little bit. Of course, earlier on you motivated and shared a message of hope with our leaders in our country. I believe they are inspired wherever they are so that they do not give up. We don't want our leaders to give up, because one of the things that you shared with me offline at some point, you said that when we look at our leaders, at some point we think that they are not doing enough. But until you sit at, you sit at their chair or you wear their shoes, somehow your perspective can change. Do you want to amplify that point?
Absolutely so. It is so easy for us, in leadership especially. Everybody thinks that they could do a better job if they're the leader.
Yeah.
It happens in businesses, it happens in nations. But for one moment, let's just think. What would happen if you became the leader? You would face the same pressure, the same stress, the same issues as that leader is going. So what I'm saying is, let us have compassion for people in leadership. Let us not be too quick to judge, Joe. Let us understand that leader and let us lift that leader up in prayer. We need to change the way we think by saying, I love the leader. How about we try that and see how our attitude changes and how, almost like magic, leaders change. Wow.
Wow, I like that. Before we get to be sidetracked with our conversation today, Melvin, I want to come back to your leadership story. I want to come back to your leadership lessons. As I was following your story, I remember at some point you posted your journey to the USA, and you wrote a post that I think that was in 2009, that you came to USA, just with your luggage, and somehow you made life out of that. But I want to take us into a journey from South Africa. How did you end up in USA?
Sure. I started in South Africa, and one day I saw that New Zealand allowed South Africans a 3-month free visitor visa.
Okay.
So I packed 2 suitcases and just went to New Zealand. I wanted to make it big. Because I watched enough movies, all they needed was 2 suitcases and a fee. Well, so I thought.
Okay.
So I go to New Zealand and I get a job going door to door selling house alarms.
Wow.
Now I joke with people. People liked me, but they didn't like me that much to give me the money.
Okay.
So I was dead broke. Now here's the thing. I had passion, I had enthusiasm, I had vision and excitement, but I did not know how to sell.
Wow.
So hence, I got kicked out of the boarding house where I lived because I couldn't pay my rent. But the manager of the company, the owner of the company, of the sales company, said, if you can sleep on the company floors, you can sleep in the boardroom. He gave me the boardroom, so I sleep in the boardroom.
So that was in New Zealand?
That was in Auckland, New Zealand.
In New Zealand, wow. Okay.
Get up in the morning, have a glass of water, dry bread, and hit the streets door knocking.
Wow.
The passion was there, everything was there. The only thing was missing was success. So that is where I had found every now and then you have what is called, by somebody once coined these words, a God wink.
Wow. What is that? You really want to unpack that? Yeah.
Something that happens that blows your mind, something that you least expect.
Okay.
When you come to the end of it all, something happens. Off I went that day to the public. I'm on the road door knocking. and something tells me go into the public library.
Okay.
So I go into the public library in Auckland. Something tells me, look at the audiobook section. I do. I find a cassette tape with a man with a very interesting name, Zig Ziglar.
Wow. Are you talking about the great Zig Ziglar?
Zig Ziglar, America's motivator.
Okay.
A man that reached 250 million people before the internet.
Wow.
So there's this audio tape. Now, at that time, I knew nothing about him.
Okay.
Just the sense in my spirit, rent that tape.
Okay.
It cost $2 to rent that tape. Now, you know, Joe, $2 is a lot of money when you don't have one.
Very true. Very, very true.
Thank God
very, very
I had
true.
$2. That was going to be lunch or an investment. I decided to invest in myself and not eat. So I rented that tape, and I put that tape in. From the time he opened his mouth till the end, I cried. I never heard a man speak like that. Wow. And he said some things that dramatically transformed my life right there and then.
You know, one thing that I'm picking up from what you just said there, it's about personal development and personal investment. You had a choice with this $2. You either had to go for a lunch, eat your lunch, your nice lunch, and then from there you remain average or the way you were. But you chose to invest in yourself. Can you just talk about that principle of personal investment?
Definitely so. You are the most expensive commodity that you would ever own. You could buy a private jet, you could get a Rolls Royce, you could buy a $5 million house. That is meaningless if you don't understand that the most expensive thing you ever own is yourself. Wow. Invest in your education. Invest in training seminars. Invest in books and CDs and things like that. You will reap your reward, guaranteed, when you invest in yourself. We've got to understand how valuable we are. We are not more important than other people, but we are valuable here on earth.
Wow, you heard it for yourself, colleagues, that personal investment is very important. You definitely need to invest in yourself. The good thing about it today is that when we invest in ourselves, it's no longer about that college degree, but it's about the content that can help you become better. Of course, nowadays seminars are running online. There are books that you can buy online in order for you to grow. You will never become or amount to anything bigger unless you invest in yourself. That for me is very important. So now coming back to your story, Melvin, you have just listened to this great man, Zig Ziglar, and you crying there. And what happens?
Well, I'm listening to the audio tape, and the first thing he said was, I wish I could look you in your eye, put my arms around you, and say to you, I believe in you, because I truly do. You see, nobody ever said those words to me all my life. My parents didn't have the vocabulary or the context. They tried their best, but they never said to me, I believe in you. Wow. Here's this man, a total stranger on a cassette tape, saying to me, I believe in you. I believed him. So many times you find in leadership, and even with multi-millionaires, they will say it was easier to become a millionaire than it was to believe they could do it. Wow. The ability to believe stirs magic inside of us to make that which is impossible possible. So that's the first thing he said, Joe. The second thing he said that dramatically changed me was he was talking about this person called Jesus Christ. I wasn't a Christian. Okay. I was intrigued.
And I love it, because I was going to ask that at a point when you were in New Zealand, were you already a converted Christian? So I'm liking that the story now is developing through Zig Ziglar. Please proceed.
Correct.
Yeah.
So here's this man on a business cassette talking about Jesus and saying it is only through Jesus that you get an everlasting success here and that to come. Now, I've heard of Jesus growing up. My mother loved Jesus, but we were not Christian.
Correct.
I was not a Christian. At that moment, something happened in my heart. And that moment I said, I want Jesus. The third thing he said was, he came to the end of the tape and he said, and I'll see you at the top.
Wow.
Well, I was blown away.
Wow.
His words so inspired me. I pointed to the cassette and said, Mr. Ziglar, one day I'm going to stand on the same stage you are, and I'm going to speak.
Wow. I just want to remember those 3 points that Melvin has mentioned coming from the tape. Number one, he said, there was Zig Ziglar that he said, I believe in you. Ladies and gentlemen, personal belief is important, where you start to believe in yourself. But as leaders, we need to also to start believing in other people, because you are where you are because somebody believed in you. Number 2, sharing our faith, it's imperative. We are what we are because of our faith. So Jesus Christ is the core and the center of our faith. And the last thing that he mentioned as well is that meet you at the top. Melvin, do you know that is one of the statement that kept me going? In actual fact, how we say it with some of my colleagues, even when I wrap up this broadcast, is that I will meet you at the top where you belong.
Wow.
So meaning, wherever we are, we must understand that where we are, that is not the end of the world, but there is a place, a position where you and I belong, where we need to work and make sure that we achieve that. That is grateful. That is great, Melvin, what you're sharing with us here. And then from there, one of the things that I've picked up, of course, we will come to your journey, your American journey, but one thing that I just want to jump into, it's that the same man that changed your life with these 3 points, you somehow worked with him.
Yes.
What happened? How did it come about that you work with Zig Ziglar? That some of us, we read him, we listen to his audio materials, we watch his visuals, but how did it come about that, a young person from, should I say, the dusty streets of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa happened to work with this great man?
Sure. You see, friend, it starts with belief. For the first time in my life, I decided to believe in myself. Then I decided to speak it out, saying one day I will stand on the same stage. I didn't say I wanted to work with him. I said I wanted to stand on the same
platform with him.
Then,
wow.
So dream big, aim high. That's what I did. And so when you do that, it's almost as though God starts to move internally and things start to happen externally. I found myself in Dallas, Texas at a seminar.
Okay.
I didn't expect that things were going to happen like this. I'm at the seminar, at this round table, just talking to the audience about my story. One of them said, you need to get on the platform and share with the entire conference room about your journey from South Africa to New Zealand.
Wow.
And here you are at a seminar in Dallas, Texas. So I go on top of the platform and I share the story, exactly what I'm telling you now. And Zig Ziglar, at that time, is sitting in the audience.
Wow. Wow. That's powerful. And one of the things that I'm picking up there is that there is also power in telling our stories.
Correct.
We may want to be great people. We may want to compete with people that we don't know. But one thing that we own is our stories. If I tell my story, no one can dispute my story.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. The importance of your story happens when you understand how valuable you are.
Wow.
Your story can inspire one, it can inspire 1 billion. That's irrelevant, but your story inspires. This is what we must do.
Wow. And then what happened? You're now here in this conference. You're now speaking. Zig Ziglar is part of that session. Part of the audience is listening to you. Just to try and fast track the events.
Sure.
How did you end up working with him?
I got off the platform. His vice president came up to me, put his arms around me, and said, "Young man, you need to work with me."
Wow.
So I got certified, trained as a Zig Ziglar speaker, and eventually I became a Ziglar Platinum speaker, one of only 8 in the world. And then later on, I became the vice president of global sales for Zig Ziglar International.
Wow. That can be God, man. I'm just trying to imagine this. It can only be God. coming from the dusty streets of South Africa, and you are going to the global stage. For me, I am inspired. And I'm hoping that wherever you are as you watch this video, you are also inspired. Continue to write on the comment box your takeaways in terms of this conversation. All that we want to do with this conversation is to inspire you with a message of hope, that you too matter, you too can succeed, you too can become the best thing in the world. And that's who we are in the leadership conversation. We are hoping that you are noting something, you are also learning something.
Christ Media TV app is now available at Google Play Store. Download it today and get the latest updates and live broadcasts on your phone. The app's features also enable you to connect with our Facebook page, access frequently asked questions, and read the Bible online. Christ Media TV app, now available for free at Google Play Store. Download it now and stay connected.
Welcome back to JJM Leadership Conversation. We're hoping that you are learning something that is helping you to become bigger and better in your aspirations to be a leader of influence and authority. I want to challenge you in terms of the of sharing this message with people that you believe will also benefit out of this conversation. My guest for today is Melvin Pillay, who is sharing with us his wonderful story from the dusty streets of KZN in South Africa, to the global stage in the United States of America. So today, as I'm reflecting on his journey, we continue to share this story with Melvin. And Melvin, I want you to share with us, at JJM Leadership Conversation, we are about leadership. And I want you to share with us your leadership philosophy, what inspires you, and what are the stuffs that made Melvin Pillay to be who he is in terms of leadership?
Well, thank you. That's a beautiful thing there, Joe. I believe this. My philosophy in leadership is very simple. Have the will to do it. What we lack today is the will. You see, what we have to do and the ways by which we have to do it, these are pretty simple things. Whether we are willing to do it, that there is the challenge in leadership. Leaders must have three very important things. Number one, Joe, they must have wisdom.
Okay.
The wisdom that comes from God himself. The second thing leaders must have, which we lack so often, is courage.
Okay.
The courage to stand up. And the third thing we must have is boldness. The boldness to speak, even if something will not always bring us the benefits, or will not always make people want to love us or like us, but it is the truth. Speak the truth always. So with these three things, I find that you become a leader that's willing to challenge the status quo, willing to stand up for that which is right and do that which is right every single day. Leaders must get activated. That's what we do.
Wow. Leaders must get activated. You can't be a leader that is dormant, but you must be a leader that is activated and active in our societies. Ladies and gentlemen, I always say that we don't have to be confronting big challenges, but all of us, we do have small challenges where we are. We do have challenges that we can solve in our societies, but what is important for us is that wisdom, the boldness, and the courage to do it. Wow, what a leadership philosophy. I believe that wherever you are, there is something that you are learning also for yourself. Before we wrap up, Melvin, I want you to reflect as well. I think you have written a book, right?
The Power of 8.
The Power of 8. All right, The Power of 8. Can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Sure. It's basically 8 powers that we have within us. What are the 8 things that has been given to the modern leader so that we move from good to great?
Okay.
So that we live a life that's better than good. So that we all will one day see each other at the top.
Wow. So in order for you to go to the top, of course, there are ladders, there are lessons that you need to learn and that you can also use for you to achieve your intended goals. And if we need to get hold of you, Melvin, of course, you are visiting our show. You are staying in the United States of America. Nowadays, we do have platforms that we can visit and get to interact with you. What can we do to get in touch? If I need the copy of a book, what am I supposed to do?
Sure. You'll find me on Facebook, Melvin Pillay. You'll find my website, melvinpillay.com. My books are on Amazon. And you will find me on social media. Go ahead and send me a message. And here's the thing. I will message you directly. Okay?
Wow.
You'll have a personal message from me because I believe in always touching people.
Wonderful. And thank you so very much for making time to have a conversation with us. We always appreciate people that will come and believe to the, in terms of the work that we're doing, where we are inspiring hope to our nation. What is the last message that you want to leave with our audience today? I want that specific message that you want to just emphasize as we wrap up.
Sure. Leaders, if you want to become great, learn how to find God's rest. The greatest leaders in life, the prophetic leaders, those that could capture the future 200, 300, 400 years from now, are those that have found the rest that comes from God. Leaders, you need peace. The only way to get peace, find God's rest. Mm-hmm. God's rest gives you peace. Out of God's peace, you work, and then you can achieve all the things in life by finding rest and peace. That I would love to leave with you right now.
Wow. There you have it, colleagues. All that you need is rest and peace in God. So all the leaders, if you want to succeed in life, you need that peace of God. And thank you so very much for watching JJM Leadership Conversation. Please don't forget to share or tag someone that you believe will also benefit out of this broadcast. And if there are takeaways, please type them on the comment box. We always appreciate your feedback in terms of the content that we are bringing into your space. Thank you so very much for watching our broadcast. God bless and meet you at the top where you belong.